Welcome. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Hit the bell. Thank you for listening. This is Joey. Let's get started. I touched on this once before, but it bears a little bit more detail given light of the situation. This is going to start off on the backdrop of the recent events with FGB Duck's case and the subsequent reaction of his mother. But where the real focus is going to be on aggressive coons like Hassan Campbell. Now, I've been seeing this dude. Let me back up a little bit. If you're in the black community and you're under the age of 38, you probably know who FBG Duck is. He's a famous rapper out of Chicago. He's also a nigga in that life. He's a GD, or he was a GD before he passed. Those of you that know, there's a long-standing beef with GDs and BDs, but that's not really the point. The point is that the man was killed. There was an investigation that was sprung from that murder. The mother made comments when the man was caught, and people may feel a certain way about that. That's fine. But see, there's a YouTube content creator named Hassan Campbell. And for those of you who may not know, Hassan Campbell is a very thirsty coon. And what Hassan Campbell does, see, there's this whole new type of coon. There's this whole new type of coon that I call the agitator. See, coons are normally characterized as, or I should say mischaracterized, as harmless, kind of comical characters that are usually seen with their noses pressed between a white man's buttocks, right? They're usually seen as comical Mo Tisa-ass, go fetch it ass niggas that are kind of incapable on their own and are largely just kind of harmless and just like bothersome nuisances, right? Wrong. A coon can be a highly capable black person who just does not like niggas and tries to support and find a way to be useful within white society against black people, right? And this is where we come to on Hassan Campbell. See, because what this new wave of aggressive agitator coon does is they try to get pats on the head by white society by irritating and agitating and publicly flogging the black community under the guise of morality. And that's the key thing. What Hassan Campbell does is he tries to position himself almost like a intervention or youth inner city gang prevention specialist, right? He's a black dude and he tries to position himself like, hey guys, I'm doing all this extreme, aggressive, over the top virtue signaling to prevent you guys from joining gangs, right? And that's his shtick. That's his shtick. And in so doing this, he injects himself in a lot of popular black pop culture topics as the agitator in order to make himself front and center and steal a little clout, right? It's not like him and FBG Duck's mother know each other or they're on a first name basis or he grew up around FBG Duck and no, what he did is what a lot of people do. You throw out a big dragnet of irritant material, stuff that would piss somebody off and get a reaction. You picked out FBG's Duck's mother because she's a popular person on the internet. Her son is very popular. And you knew in an emotional state like this, if you put out a wild enough video, she would probably respond, right? You niggas is out here talking on Clubhouse and y'all know how I feel about Clubhouse, right? I haven't seen a positive black thing be created at a clubhouse yet. I haven't seen so much as a breakdancing collaboration. I haven't seen one piece of cardboard get put on the ground. I haven't seen nothing positive at a clubhouse happen yet. But I digress. So whenever something happens in the black community, you got, especially when something negative happens, you got niggas like Hassan Campbell that try to capitalize off of it. You got niggas like Hassan Campbell that try to do all this virtue signaling to prove to white society that he's worthy of being elevated, right? I've seen this nigga go into black. You know when you see those prank videos, these used to always irritate me. When you see those prank videos, usually it's some Eastern European dude or some Arab kid or something like that. But the prank videos where they go in the hood and say or do something that can be construed as racist, but it's said in an intentional way to kind of make the person look like they're tripping off of nothing, right? It's some German dude walking in the hood going, "What's up, my nigger?" or something like that. And then right when the nigger starts to get ready to beat their ass, he didn't really say nigger, he said igger or something like that. They do goofy shit like that. I seen an Arab dude get straight jawed and knocked out, acting like he was going to pull guns on people in the hood, and it could have really went left. But the point of that is these content creators use black people in our environments and our natural reactions, and they play off of that for the general public, almost like they're playing in the zoo, right? These are people that aren't really from there. They come down, agitate you and irritate you. It's called shaking the cage, right? They agitate you and irritate you and then record your reaction. It's almost like those Jack Link's beef jerky commercials where they messing with Sasquatch, right? I'm just fucking with the black people to see what kind of reaction I can get out of them and then record the reaction. It's almost like being in the wild, and messing with animals. Hassan Campbell's game is not really much different from that, but it differs only in the sense that he tries to throw on some fake morality onto it to explain why he's doing the shit. So you're coming down into black neighborhoods that you don't really live in. You're coming in down to black neighborhoods where you say the black people are so violent and so volatile, but you're coming down there with your registered firearm, hoping to start something so that you can have a justified reason to pull your firearm. You got caught on camera doing some sucker shit like that. That's not only some white people shit, that's a specific kind of white people shit. That's somebody who does some weirdo move like that is the kind of person, usually an older white male from the ages of 35 to 52, that'll shoot a nigga because his music's too loud at the gas station. That's the kind of energy that brings off. Hassan Campbell brings off, I like to wear my gun, my registered gun on the outside of my holster energy. Right? You can kind of tell when you see Hassan Campbell. See, this is kind of the problem with the internet. This is kind of the problem with the internet. Especially with black people on the internet. We got a lot of mentally ill people in our community. We got a lot of misdiagnosed, mentally ill people walking around in our community. And some of them you can tell just by looking in their eyes that they ain't all there. And when I look at Hassan Campbell videos, I'm just going to keep it real. Hassan Campbell come off kind of high functioning. Hassan Campbell come off like he got something mentally lacking in him. Like, and I'm not just saying that to talk shit 'cause I don't like the nigga. Like, I got special needs people that I know. You know what I'm saying? And he just gives off that too much mercury in his blood energy. Like, when you look at his eyes in the video, you look how he talks, you look how he moves, you look how he thinks, he don't seem like the kind of nigga that's all there. He seems like somebody you would see downtown somewhere talking to himself. And so you look at this dude who, in a normal, sane environment, this person would, his words, his opinions wouldn't be looked at as anything to value. Not saying like, oh, he's not important, but I'm saying like clearly he's not in his right mind, right? He's a dude who's not in his right mind. You can see in his eyes be glazed over all the time. He just looks deranged, right? when you see this dude talking, he just looks like he's got a step missing, but it's entertaining. So in the black community, we kind of think it's funny sometime when we see some mentally ill person out here carrying on and drawing attention to himself. You know, Dr. Umar Johnson, we've seen his father come on the air and say, my son's not right. He takes medication. He's highly intelligent, but he has some issues. You know, and that, again, that's why I said high functioning. There are autistic kids who you damn near wouldn't know they were autistic. They don't seem like they fit any character. They walk, they talk. And then you got to look at other certain signs and go, oh, yeah, he's never looked me in the eye before when he talks. Yeah, he might have some sort of a, you know, and it doesn't mean that you shun them and all that kind of shit. I'm not trying to shit on the nigga just because he might have an issue, but I like to keep that in mind when I'm hearing when I'm seeing somebody making moves, right? I keep, oh, this nigga's not all the way wound up. I watched that video where he tried to antagonize that kid. See, this is the games people play. These are the Zimmerman games people play. Zimmerman liked to shoot black people. He had fantasies of engaging a black person and feeling tough and taking out a black, right? But he didn't have the heart to really be fighting no black grown ass man. So he wanted to go fight a kid. He picked his prey. But he's too much of a coward. He's too much of a sucker to live with the fact that maybe you're just going to be the bad guy. So what they do is they hide behind badges, they hide behind guns, not even hide behind guns. They hide behind fake morality. I had to shoot him. His music was too loud. right? I had to shoot him. He looked like he was assaulting that young lady, which is his girlfriend. He's walking down the street. They have to make up reasons to act like they were the white knight in the situation because they really be having hero fantasies. And here's the thing. And the reason why I bring up Hassan Campbell going into the hood, picking a fight with somebody so that he can pull his gun and feel like a hero. You do exactly what you say these young hotheads in the hood do. Let's keep it real. Go back and look at that video. You could always tell when a nigga got a gun because a nigga got that God complex when he got a gun. You see that nigga walking up in front of a whole bunch of niggas he don't know and he's real comfortable and all that shit. It's because he got a gun. I put it like this. If you was Hassan Campbell and you was in that situation and you pat your waist down and realize, oh, shit, I don't have my gun, is you going to go engage them niggas that way? No. If you pull your shit out and your shit don't go off when you need it to, now you got to renegotiate with these niggas, right? Most people don't walk around with a gun thinking that I have a gun. Most people walk around with a gun knowing I don't want to pull this shit out. The second I pull this shit out, shit's going to go way left. Shit's going to go way up. Random bystanders are going to be running and shit. It's going to make a big scene. Police could show up. This nigga might pull out a gun too. People that really own guns, that are responsible with guns, they don't think about pulling out that gun without thinking about pulling that trigger. People like Hassan Campbell, who are giddy with the idea of still being able to purchase a firearm. People like Hassan Campbell, these kind of guys, they don't really live a life where they've really had to pull guns on people with life or death situations. It's a toy to them. This whole thing's a joke. And coming down and irritating the black community and doing little things to virtue signal to white folks on the internet that I don't fuck with these blacks, please accept me, is very transparent. And like I said, if this was one dude, I would just kind of look at this guy and go, that's a concern. But this is becoming a trend. I'll tell you what, dude, oh my God, he's 10 times worse than, see, I let this nigga slide because I know he's kind of mentally ill. But this is far from a one-off thing from somebody's little Daryl in the family, right? Let me talk about another one who's also a little bit more A little more clever, a little more volatile, a little more insidious. The boy Charleston White. The boy Charleston. See, there's only a couple whose names lock in with me. There's a couple who I've already seen. See, they're starting to meet their end. They're starting to meet a problem when they get to the edge of that street shit. Going and messing around with the general black community, agitating the general black community, that's nothing new. You got your Candace Owenses, you got, you've had your, what's his last name? What's his name? Peterson. There's too many coons like that to name. There's always up and coming coons for that kind of level. ABL. You know what I'm saying? There's always coons for that. That's common stock. But one place that coons would operate normally as snitches and informants, but never as muscle men and aggressors and agitators. One place that coons would not operate, was the streets. They wouldn't operate so boldly with their chest out. They would operate in secrecy with the cooperation of law enforcement, right? You point niggas out, but you ain't getting in niggas' faces. So it's very, very interesting that these niggas have found a new niche now, like disguised as a gang and youth prevention department. They're pretty much just aggressive snitches. Charleston White, now this dude is from Texas, I believe. And once again, look at the telltale signs, right? You're supposed to be a gang prevention guy. That's what you're fashioning yourself as. You're supposed to be a youth intervention guy to show the youth the right way to behave, the right path to go, right? But every time you see this nigga Charleston White, just like Hassan Campbell, he's agitating and trying to bait people into confrontational situations. You notice that? Like, let me tell you something that gangsters don't do. Even people you might consider punks, no one's going to willingly, knowingly indict themselves on camera. Even these niggas that are snitching on themselves on camera, they're not actively looking in the camera and doing the crime regularly, right? So if you're Charleston White and you're running up on some little gang dudes and threatening them and challenging them to some sort of a violent confrontation, why would they do that? So that you can hold your head and be pointing to them when the police show up. Because the police got your direct feed on their damn dashboards, right? Like, how does that prove anything? And even beyond that, what about that makes anybody's parents feel like you're some sort of person that should be in charge of or even around some goddamn youth, right? And the sad part about it is, in some cases, the dude be having a point, but he just looks so obviously with them people. It's just ridiculous. Like he looks like somebody who's wearing a wire. Like he look like, honestly, you know who I feel made this wave cool to be out there. And it makes it very hard for you to look at a nigga like a Charleston White or a nigga like an Hassan Campbell with a side eye. I'm going to tell you exactly who made it hot to be an aggressive snitch. Tekashi 6ix9ine. The day Tekashi 6ix9ine went up on a witness stand, right, and was openly pointing niggas out, and that became socially acceptable because people will do anything on the gram, people will do anything on YouTube for a few minutes of fame, even if it's some sucker shit. Once that became socially acceptable, look at the age of these niggas, Hassan Campbell and Charleston White. These are older niggas. These aren't 22-year-old. These are 35, 37-year-old, 38-year-old niggas. These are grown-ass niggas who realized, ooh, this is how I can get on. They're accepting that. Oh, it's my time to shine. Right? Now, you say, Charleston White, you don't like the big U's and you don't like all these gang leaders because they ruin kids' lives. But then you look at how this nigga moved. This exact same nigga that said all this was trying to agitate a LA versus Texas war. That's another thing about him that you got to look at the signs of, see, when people say the word agent, this is why I don't say the word agent. I say the word asset. The word asset is a lot more accurate of a term for what a lot of these niggas be than agent. One thing you got to keep in mind is that black people are rarely seen as capable by white supremacists as being able to handle a role, a hands-on, all-encompassing role like agent. That's someone on the payroll. We're talking about an asset. You're Huggy Bear. You're not Starsky. You're not Hutch, nigga. You Huggy Bear. We put you off of the corner and tell you what you're going to do, nigga. And if you want to stay out of jail or keep your nose clean, you're going to give us that good information or do that thing we told you to do. Right? It's not where you're some sort of a secret. No, nigga, this is the Black Panther movie and you're Kadeem Hardison. Nigga, we bitch slapping you around telling you how it's going to go. These are assets. These are people that can do something useful for them people. While at the same time, and this is the important part of an asset, allowing the police departments or the law enforcement to maintain a safe distance from the target. Those are the whole 2 points of an asset. You can get me access from a safe distance. I can look like I'm not even involved with you. Meanwhile, you're buying drugs from these niggas, right? So you got a nigga like a Charleston White who is posing like he's doing this for the youth and doing this for the people, but really you're trying to stoke and instigate pretty large scale goddamn gang confrontations. You're an irritant. You're sent over here to do exactly what you do and stoke flames with folks, get shit popping, right? Stoke a whole lot of animosity. If you're somebody's mother, if you're one of these little black youth's mothers, right? And you're watching how this nigga move and he's supposed to be the inner city youth intervention specialist, does that nigga look like some kind of an inner city youth intervention specialist? He's out there gangbanging. He's out there wannabe gangbanging. See, people like Charleston White, people like Hassan Campbell, right? Because you got to look at the mentality. You got to look at the mentality of somebody like that. And I'm not speaking on this from stop snitching and I'm promoting gang. But nah, we're not talking about any of that. I'm saying, is what you're doing actually effective for what you're saying the problem is? Is what you're doing effective at solving the problem? No, not at all. If you really wanted to prevent little black youths from joining these gangs and shit, if you really was on some youth intervention specialist shit, well, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. One of the key words is intervention, meaning you get there before they get to making that decision. Meaning maybe you should focus on trying to reach the kids, right? the young kids who probably aren't even watching no old ass DJ Vlad type of shows. Like, y'all got to look at the demographics. The people who watch shows like DJ Vlad and follow all of this hippity hop stuff and be following all these gangbang chronicle type of shits, it be older niggas. It don't really be young people like that. They're not scouring through the YouTube streets looking for that shit. They be on TikTok doing dances and shit. If you're trying to reach the young kids that are going to be the next generation of little young gangbangers and shit, that's where you would go. If you were trying to use influence to reach these kids, you would focus on giving. See, the number one reason why, this is why black people are often full of shit when it comes to trying to be preachy and talking about gang members and inner city stuff. And this is why a lot of black people are full of shit when they say that shit. You could focus on, the number one reason why people join gangs and shit, aside from protection and respect, is that they don't have no options otherwise. Number one reason why people start flipping keys and fucking selling dope and shit and selling their body is because there aren't a whole lot of options otherwise. It's not like niggas are sitting back deciding which Ivy League college they're going to accept from all their admission letters and then just go, I think I'm going to be a gang member. Like that's not how that happens on average. Which is why that 94 crime bill was so significant, because the coons in office the Congressional Black Caucus voted to have all of these, punitive stipulations put in that bill and didn't offer not one job, didn't offer not one funding program, didn't offer not one option for people in the damn inner city coming off the crack epidemic. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, that's like seeing somebody drowning and you have a lifeboat, you have a little river raft, you got some sort of a lifesaver, but instead of throwing that to them, you accuse them of not swimming hard enough, and so you shoot bullets at them in the water to motivate them. Like what are you doing? Black folks know that the people that end up joining these gangs from our communities are people we've thrown completely away. These are all the young niggas that you kick out at 13 because really you can't afford to have that nigga and he's not beneficial no more. So you go extra hard on that nigga for some reason and kick him out. Oh, you can't live by my rules. You got to get out my. Now he's out on the street. What you expect that nigga to do? You threw him away. These are niggas that have learning disabilities and reading problems and shit because they'd been slipped through the cracks and moved up grades they shouldn't have been moved up to. And now they finally hit a point in school where the school just kick them out. These are people in foster homes and shit. But we're not looking at none of that, right? If you're Charleston White, if you're Hassan Campbell, right? We're not really looking at none of that. We're trying to engage and confront the gangs that they're already in. As if you're trying to convert young niggas who have joined the gang to get out the gang. Like that would go well, right? You're focusing on niggas that are in the gang. You're over there agitating people who are in the gang. You're running up whenever somebody in the gang take a loss to try to point to these kids allegedly and say, see, this isn't what you want to do. And when you could be reaching these kids before they even get to making them decisions. You could be putting energy in making sure these kids have options. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you preaching and talking and teaching, that shit ain't never worked if you can't offer an alternative. Just straight up. You're going to walk up and take the dope money out of somebody's hand. You can't be doing that. Nigga, do you have a job for me then that pays this dope money? Your intention is not to intervene between young people and bad decisions. Your intention is to be a YouTube celebrity. Your intention is to agitate people with clout in a niche following, a niche market, which is that street shit, which is that hood shit. People follow a lot of that shit online. And so your goal is to engage with them, hopefully get some people indicted, maybe get a promotion at the precinct. Let's just keep it real. When you got niggas like Hassan Campbell who are on video camera pulling guns on people, right? Think about all the things regular niggas who aren't involved with law enforcement get caught up for doing dumb shit on camera. I just said earlier, people aren't willingly, knowingly indicting themselves on camera, committing crimes on camera, hoping to get caught. But people do get upset. People do things and not know they're on camera all the time. And sometimes, people do say and brag about things emotionally and get caught up, right? Think about all the ways you see niggas get caught up on these internet streets, right? Now think about a time you've seen a nigga just straight up pull a gun on somebody in a public spot on camera with, I believe, an officer present, and the nigga don't go to jail at all. That's letting you know, like the same time when we saw the leader of the NFAC get arrested by the feds and get out the next day. That was instant red flag, right? Instant red flag. Charleston White, I'm going to keep it real. I haven't even done no research on him to see if he's a cop. That nigga just looked like a cop. He looked like one of them yo black cop coons that they get on the force that knows the streets, right? He's one of them niggas that he used to high five and jive with you niggas back in the day, but he always had hopes and aspirations to be with them people. He knows all the rap songs. He's one of them. He looked like one of them niggas that wears his badge on his neck, like he's one of the bad boys or some shit like that. Like he Mike Lowry. These type of dudes, they're showing you the game plan. I done seen Charleston White on a number of occasions openly challenge people to confrontations in the hopes that the police intervene. Like, that's a trap. The snitches are starting to get aggressive. The assets are starting to get aggressive because they're feeling untouchable. See, there was a point in time where they used to have witness protection program for niggas like that. 15 years ago, just a short 15 years ago, Tekashi 6ix9ine, we would have never heard from him again. Not because he would have necessarily got killed. They would have moved that nigga to like El Salvador or something. Because people just would have, even people not involved with the gang that he crossed, just street people in general, somebody would have wanted to pop him for a reward. There'd have been a price on that nigga's head. Stop snitching was so prevalent in the community. It was such a natural part of the culture, nigga. You go back and look at the old original Stop Snitching video, nigga, come on. Goddamn Carmelo Anthony's just in the background chilling, right? It's just everybody. Just people that wasn't even involved in gang shit was like, yeah, man, don't be snitching, though. Don't be snitching. Don't be trying to get a reward from them people, especially when, see, this is the part that really gets me with the Charleston White or an Hassan Campbell and shit. I just pointed out a minute ago, if you really was about prevention, you would get to these kids before they even get to that point. Because once they get to the point where they're a little young, gangbanging ass nigga, they're too far gone, right? Number two, with all of the bigger, like this is the part that really gets me. Let's just say the black community solved gangbanging overnight, right? All the gangbangers just overnight became reformed, and now they're like social clubs, and they don't do shit but clean up the community and help old ladies in the neighborhood across the street, teach kids how to crip walk, right? It's just nice. Like, just picture if all of a sudden all the gangs in the black community from coast to coast became like the Boys and Girls Club, right? Okay, now what? What do we do now? Because, see, a lot of the people that be getting shot and killed by the police in the black community don't even be gang members. They be random, regular-ass people. There's always this need. There's always this need. There's always this push. There's always this false narrative that's drawn up that once black people get our proverbial shit together, all our problems will magically go away on their own because all our problems are self-made. Where would all the goddamn money come? Like all these inner cities wouldn't still be poor if all of a sudden the gangs became like swell social clubs and shit. Like they still wouldn't be living in the projects, right? Broke with no lights on. Now what? Now what, Charleston White? All the I got all the BDs and GDs arm in arm together singing the goddamn Coca-Cola "I'd Like to Buy the World a Coke" song. Now what do? Where's the money at? People always act like if black people, and then here's another one that'll blow your mind with these gotta get the body count down shit niggas, right? A lot of these murders and shit might sound, not even might, are gruesome. They're hard to watch. These stories are heartbreaking. I don't want to see, even on a 1-to-1 level, this shit going down, right? But let's be realistic for a minute. And this is going to blow your mind. This is according to national crime statistics data in America. People love to act like black folks are so wild and so violent and so savage, and white folks are just so serene and peaceful and just calm. And, oh, look at that. A butterfly just landed on my index finger. It's because I'm white. In reality, the difference between sensible, nobody's perfect, common stock crime rates in the white community and savage, brutal, bestial, niggerish crime in the black community, and we're talking about violent crime, is 5 to 6%. That's the crime rate difference, 5 to 6%. And we're talking about amongst white folks and black folks. That's right. The ghetto, the hood, all of them combined, 5 to 6%. You want to really blow your mind? If you narrow that down just amongst poor and low educated whites and blacks, you take the poor and undereducated white communities all across America, and then you compare them to the poor and undereducated communities in black America, the black American crime rate's lower, considerably lower. How about that one, huh? Crazy, right? All this time you've been convinced that the reason you can't get ahead is like white folks is trying to hand you money, but you're just determined to do this crime, right? No, that's hyped up. They hype up. Crime in general has been going down steadily and considerably since like the late 60s, early 70s. And we're talking about violent crime. We're talking about murder rates. We're talking about rape, assaults, the bad stuff. I'm not flubbing the numbers and saying like they used to give out a lot of parking tickets in the 80s. Like, no, I'm talking about relevant, harmful crime has been steadily going down at a considerable rate since the 70s. Since the 70s. Now, guess who that's bad for business for? Law enforcement, right? That's bad for business. Let's keep it real. Because less crime means less need for law enforcement, means less funding. So what do you do when you're faced with that problem? You have to create what they call a phantom menace. You have to create a boogeyman that's ever lurking in the corner to consistently or to constantly justify you growing and your funding. And what these people, this is why every city in America has a gang prevention unit. Even when you don't really have, you got low level inner city street gangs and you got a gang prevention unit like you have La Costa Nostra in your neighborhood. You don't. You're using RICO charges to catch niggas who are, robbing people at bus stops. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. You're using RICO charges on gangs that haven't even amassed $1 million worth of criminal activities yet. Haven't even amassed $1 million worth of profit from their criminal activities, right? But you're using RICO charges on them like this is Al Capone. Like, let's keep it real for a minute. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel to justify a lot of these police units, excuse me. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel. A lot of them are not needed, and they're not needed in those capacities because the crime rates really aren't that high and the crime's not that bad. What happens with black people, we don't look at states. This is the only thing. This is the only thing that fat black coon that be doing the sports networks and stuff and be on Undefeated. I can't even remember his name. I purged him from my coon database. This is the only thing he's ever said about black people that was true. Black people, we don't look at stats. We don't really respect stats even in sports, right? We'll know how many points you scored, how many rebounds you got, maybe some assists, but we don't really look at stats and give a shit. We just know that nigga's dope. We don't look at crime rates for real like that. What we look at is the sensationalized stories that we get. We see on TV a murder in the black community. We're going to say this shit got stopped. And we're going to talk about how it happens too often because it happens to us. It's people you know or people you know about or you can identify. It's people that look like you. And they show it on the news every time it happens. And the frequency that you see it at makes you feel like all niggas is doing outside is shooting each other in the head. But in reality, what you're really seeing is millions of people interacting with each other. See, that's how they kind of play black people all the time. They can make numbers big or small by perspective, and we fall for it every time. You see people getting shot every day, and it makes you feel like your crime rate's high. But if they ever showed you how many white folks is killing white folks on TV, if they ever put that on TV and showed you like how they show niggas getting killed every day, if every time a white person got killed in a city somewhere, they showed you that shit, showed it to you, it would make black crime look like nothing. It would, and I do want to revisit something. Speaking of how they can make the numbers look big and small to confuse black people. When I talked about those crime rates, right, that's a per capita thing. And what that means is don't try to use the old white people excuse of, well, there's more of us than you. So no. That's adjusting. That's adjusting for population. So even when you make the populations adjusted to make it even, the difference between our overall crime rates is 5 to 6%. And amongst poor and uneducated of both of our stock, black and white, your white poors are more criminal than us. So get your shit together, white folks. Let's get it. I don't hear any excuses. All right. Okay, cool. So anyway, back to what I was saying. They exaggerate our criminality in order to justify their funding. And nobody ever challenges this. Black folks, we don't challenge this stuff. We just roll with it because they're able to shock our senses, showing us our murders every day. That's the trick. But we don't really look at stats and go, actually, our crime rates have been going down steadily for years, for decades. It's nowhere near like they say. Defund the police was a good argument to make long before George Floyd got killed. And I'm not even talking about from a police brutality standpoint. I'm talking about just from a fiscal standpoint of our needs do not require a SWAT team because we don't have gang I live in Seattle, Washington. We have gang prevention units out here. Do we have gangs in Seattle, Washington? Yeah, there's gangs, but it's not like goddamn Batman gangs. It's not like anything that needs RICO charges and gang units. But they do that to justify having people on the force. That's all it is. Now back to these Charleston White, Hassan Campbell type of dudes. There used to be a time in the black community where niggas like this were not comfortable. They were not comfortable being out aggressive coons like this. What has changed? What has changed? A lot of these niggas are catching charges. A lot of these dudes' leadership structure has been removed. See, there's a reason why Charleston White keeps going after LA. You listen to the stuff he keeps saying about how they're getting ran out of LA by the Hispanics and this, that, and the third. There's a move to get black people in general, not just black gang members, black people in general out of LA. And they're using gang prevention as a Trojan horse to do it. There's a big push to get all the black people out of California, but out of LA specifically, out of what was once called South Central LA. Go back and check my video about words, language, and definition. There's a reason why white folks are no longer calling South Central Los Angeles South Central Los Angeles. The first war that always happens in politics is the language. I said that before. That's the first way I get you to change your mindset. I'm going to start calling, an estate tax the death tax to make it sound more negative. I'm going to start calling illegal aliens undocumented workers to soften the blow and make it sound more positive. The first thing in politics they use to change your perception on something, to hopefully change your opinion, is the language. South Central Los Angeles sounds way too black. That's that shit black people say. You don't even really hear white folks say South Central. That's a nigger term. And we want to make it clear, Californians, that South Central is no more because this is no longer a nigger town. We're trying to move the Rams facility over here. We got a subway train we're going to put under here. It's going to connect all of LA. Yeah, we don't do that nigger shit over here no more. And Charleston White, you see, I started noticing about Charleston White. I said, you seem to know a whole lot about LA gangs to be a Texas nigga. You notice, like, again, you would think a dude like Charleston White, who's in Texas with a Texas accent, talking Texas, and who's a gang prevention dude for Texas, would be focused on Texas gangs. Because there are gangs in Texas. You would think all his videos would be on Texas shit, since he's a gang intervention prevention specialist for the youth. That's what he's saying. He's doing this shit for the youth, right? He's a gang nigga. You would have business to do in Texas. But see, talking about them Texas niggas in Texas where you can be touched in Texas, that doesn't come with all the rewards and all the shine and all the clout like talking shit on the internet gets you about niggas in LA. If he was talking consistently and telling real shit on Texas organizations doing dirt, recruiting young black people, supposedly ruin people's lives, if he was talking about Texas black gangs doing that, Charleston White would be gone. And I'm not talking about that little shit he said about Jay Prince. Jay Prince is not an active gang member. Jay Prince is not a operator of a confirmed criminal organization. Jay Prince is a CEO of a hip hop record label, right? Right. So let's just keep that very, very clear. I think because Jay Prince, he's a smooth dude, and there's implied connections to the streets type of shit, right? Jay Prince isn't out there repping nothing, so that don't count. I'm talking about how you openly diss Crips, openly diss Bloods, openly diss GDs, openly diss BDs, openly diss Four Corner. I don't see you talking about known Texas-bred gangs in the area by name like that. Let's just keep it real. Also, by his own admission, Charleston White is a nigga who, he says, I never joined a gang on the streets, right? Charleston White's one of them niggas that joined a gang in a jail. That tell you everything you need to know about Charleston White. And I know he said he was young, but let's just keep it real. You already know about the type. Niggas in the streets know about the type of niggas that join gangs in jails. That's all I got to say, be honest with you, right? I ain't talking about formed a gang in a jail. I'm talking about joined a gang in a jail. You're a I need protection nigga. That's cool. It happens. You know what I'm saying? I don't have an issue with somebody trying to do gang prevention. I think that's good in the black community. I don't have an issue with someone trying to do youth intervention to stop young people from joining gangs. Also good. But we all know, anybody that got two brain cells to rub together knows that trying to provoke gangs and stoke confrontations is about as ineffective and, to be honest with you, insincere as a tactic to those ends as you can get. You don't even see this nigga Charleston White even talking to kids in the videos. You don't even see this nigga near kids in the video. He's not reaching no damn youth by doing this shit. Like I said, the demographic that he's reaching on the platforms and the channels that he's going to is niggas that are 20, 28 and up. Maybe 22. These are niggas that still want to find out who shot Tupac and Biggie. That's the type of niggas that go to DJ Vlad, bro. Like, let's keep it real for a minute. Or a bunch of white kids. Like most of DJ Vlad and the people that watch, not even just DJ Vlad, because now I'm picking on Vlad because Vlad ain't shit, but all the people that watch these YouTube gossip channels and all this kind of shit, they're usually white kids. It's usually little white kids, not niggas. And when it's niggas, it's old niggas. It's older niggas. People who have already been in the gang. They're not getting out. See, the way Charleston White and the way Hassan Campbell and them move, what they're really trying to do, and maybe they're using the wrong terminology, I don't know. But what it really seems like they're trying to do is get people to leave the gang. And that's completely different than prevention and intervention. You're trying to be a gang reformist, where you're trying to get young niggas who are in the gang to get out of the gang. And that's a completely different thing than intervention and prevention for the youth. And even still, going to confront the gang, that don't do shit. You're a nigga on the internet. You're a nigga on the internet who's more than likely either tied to police or willing to get police involved the second shit goes left. And everybody can see that from a mile away. Charleston White ain't running up on niggas off camera. This nigga got a whole camera crew set up. Talking about, come on, you niggas ain't coming down here. Like, what are you, nigga, we're on camera. Why would I do that? He's not floating around LA. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm naming Charleston White and I'm naming Hassan Campbell, but this is a whole wave of people that'll go into gangs, communities, and see, they try to pretend like it's an anti-gang, anti-violence thing, or all this black on black crime. But in reality, it's really low-key kind of jealousy and clout chasing. We've seen this in other, to be honest, in my opinion, more sincere and pure forms, right? Where, and I don't know these niggas' names. I'm not Googling these niggas. But there's a dude that got killed not too long ago. I'm giving away the ending. He used to go around. This was his YouTube channel. This is how he used to get clout. He would go around to different gangs neighborhoods, and where they got like their signature signs and shit that represent their neighborhoods, and he would go disrespect the area. Again, like I said, I feel like this is a post Tekashi wave. Didn't Tekashi go drive down to O Block at like 4:45 in the morning, right before everybody had to get up and go to work, and act like he was out there banging? That's the new wave, right? And that shit comes from social media, because social media is a submarine window. You get to see a small little piece of what shit's really going on, right? Tekashi's followers got to walk away saying Tekashi was on O Block. Didn't matter what time, didn't matter that nobody else was there. Tekashi was on video on O Block. He was standing in front of a sign that indicated he was on O Block, right? And that was all they needed for the internet. In reality, Tekashi scooted and booted his ass up out of there as quick as he could go before the damn street lights went out. So you got niggas on the internet seeing, ooh, I can come up like that. I know that was a fake moment, but if I can produce that fake moment on my channel, I'll look real. Let me go down to this nigga's neighborhood and kick over their street sign. Let me go down to this nigga's neighborhood and piss on the street sign, or say fuck this park, or let me go do that for my channel and get rep and get known. Happened in Chicago, where you know they shoot niggas. And I seen the dude get killed live on air. Talking shit. Just go, you're not even in a gang. You're just going around. See, people will do shit if it gets them a following. You do some stupid shit and people click and like and retweet and you go viral. Niggas will really keep doing it if even if it means risking life and limb. Watch me put my head in this alligator's mouth, bro. Oh, am I getting likes? And they'll fucking do it. There's a dude that let his girl shoot him in the chest through a phone book as some sort of a challenge, and nigga died. Live on air. And you got niggas that'll do goofy shit like this in the streets. That's why I opened this up with those hood pranks where the little Arabs will come into town doing some goofy shit and get knocked the fuck out. You got niggas doing this shit now and paying real consequences and still doing the shit. And then you got niggas like Hassan Campbell, niggas like Charleston White, niggas that are doing it Tekashi for real, to where, nigga, I'm gonna talk shit
about you street niggas while I'm on the porch. And the second y'all get too close, I'm gonna hide behind mom, the law, right? I got the law on speed dial for when the confrontation really go off. Or I got my little licensed sidearm here, Hassan Campbell. Those are the type of dudes that be at the gun range taking the gun range drill way too serious. Way too serious. Nigga, I'm just up in here, doing a 30 to 60 yard. We indoor, bro. I'm just, firing my firearm. Just cleaned it the other day. Just want to make sure it worked. This nigga's over here, doing the policeman hand check drills and shit like fucking woodchuck the gray squirrel ass nigga. But you only got that aggression for young little black people. You only got that aggression for young little black. It turns my stomach whenever I see this video of Hassan Campbell confronting this dude and pulling a gun on him, because I'm like, that's exactly what a little cop would do. You see these videos all the time, like the white dude that was tripping on the black woman in the parking space, and then the black dude came out and they got in a fight. And as soon as he got pushed on the ground, he pulled his gun out so he could use the stand your ground. It's that George Zimmerman shit. We really got to start, there's a word white folks like to use a lot with societal hacking, and it's called normalizing. It's just a regular word, normalizing. Cooning has been normalized so much, right? And it's been mainstreamed so much that it's really making the coon's job harder when you think about it, because now you got an extra coon just to coon above the others. You wouldn't have had to have been a Charleston White a few years ago. You wouldn't have had to have been a Hassan Campbell a few years ago. It was like cooning had a union, like there was territory, there was limits. But now, with the coming of the internet, it seems like it's almost like cooning has reached an OnlyFans point where you really got to bust it open to get your money's worth now as a coon, as an up and coming coon. And I understand times are tough, but these niggas are taking things to the extreme. Like, you can really feel the hatred that Charleston White has. I almost called him Charleston. I almost called him Charles Hamilton. You can really feel the hatred that this nigga Charleston White has for the black community. Just when he just look at how he fumes. This nigga be having like extra spit in the corners of his mouth and shit when he start talking about black folk. You can just feel the hatred. And I don't want to pick on Texas niggas, but there's another Texas content creator whose content I love. But every time he gets to talking about black folks, I feel that too. And I think that's that. I don't think this man was from Texas, but this is kind of general energy. It's that Booker T. Washington supposedly self-reliant energy. And that's cool. That's cool and all, but I really feel like a lot of black folks from there use that as an excuse as to why they hate niggas. I honestly do. I mean, it just comes off different. It's weird sometimes hearing black people from the South like that, because they sound just like an old racist white man. And it just throws you off hearing that, but there's a different part of the black experience from those that never left the South. I can kind of understand some of the frustrations, but getting back to characters like this, these particular people and the type of people that practice what they do, they don't really have a sincere bone in their body. They're seeing an opportunity. They're seeing a niche to fill doing this aggressive coon stance. And I'm not advocating for anything to happen to people or nothing like that. What I'm doing is I'm simply documenting. I'm seeing the activity that's being done now that the fence is down. And this is the reason why, both culturally and politically, you have to have your wagon circled. Because if you don't, you'll have a lot of your own people You'll have outsiders and you'll have insiders looting and robbing you, taking advantage of you. You know, this is a problem. This is a problem, and this is something that's becoming more and more prevalent. I mean, low key, it's almost kind of like people be harassing the gangs. I don't really got no other way to say it. You don't really have any other group of people that do stuff like this. You don't have the Mexicans harassing the cartel. I mean, we know why. You know what I'm saying? Like this is something else I kind of wanted to expose about people like this. And this is common with the black community in general. We have this fixation on the gangs being one of our major problems in our community, right? But here's the thing. If you added up all the active known gang members, you're talking about less than half of 1% of your community. You don't have a gang problem. You don't, comparatively. You don't have gangs over a few countries down on this very continent, Central America. You got gangs that are overriding governments. You don't have a gang problem. You got neighborhood gangs that commit localized and, on some rare cases, nationalized street crime. Your gangs don't even have the ability to bring in the dope that they sell. No one can ever tell us where the dope comes from, right? Right? They only catch it when niggas got it in their hands, right? Meanwhile, there's whole boats coming in with $1 billion worth of cocaine on them that you can easily look at where the boat's coming from by who owns what, and they don't even investigate that shit. They just, we don't know where it's gone. We don't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, your gangs, comparatively speaking, are not that bad. You got street thugs. And most of the crime, see, and this is another thing that they don't talk about, that black people don't understand because we don't look at stats. We'll see a heartbreaking story of an innocent bystander killed in gang violence. A little kid killed in a shootout, or, you know what I'm saying? Some craziness happened. Gang wars take an innocent life. Some kid going to school gets shot in the arm or something, you know, or injures a kid. And those are heartbreaking stories. But statistically, most of the victims of gang violence are other gang members. So it's a Bugsy Siegel rule. We only kill each other, right? That's how they operate, for the most part. I'm not saying crimes against innocent people do not happen. Businesses don't get leaned on, right? Not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm saying for the most part, most gang violent activity in the black community is amongst other gang members. Bringing it back to FBG Duck, this is why this case was so extraordinary, and also why the case was investigated the way it was. This happened in a nice white side of Chicago, where that kind of stuff normally doesn't happen in a damn jewelry store or whatever, of all places, right? This kind of crime makes the white people there feel unsafe. So that shit has to get handled. Can't let that nigger crime spill over here, man. Damn it. This is yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's why that case got investigated federally. They were on it. Now that dude, Hassan Campbell, he threw in all extra kind of spices trying to taunt that man's mom. Talking about how that's why the cops let your son bleed out because he was a bad person. And all this. See, this is that fake moralizing that I'm talking about from this crowd. And it's a notion that's shared in the black community. Black people, we always kind of throw in and take out morality where needed. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of how all this fake morality is bullshit. So the police let FBG Duck bleed out because he was a bad person, right? But the same police is taking white kids that shoot black people in churches That same police is taking them niggas to McDonald's. Taking them to Burger King, right? So what's that tell you, Hassan Campbell? With your spliff star looking ass. What's that tell you? This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. We have this fake. See, a lot of times when you talk to these gang preventions, supposedly type of niggas like this, like the Hassan Campbells and the Charles Hamiltons, they tell you the reason why they have a problem with the gangs is because they mess with the youth and it's messed with the community and it's all these moral reasons, right? And then you give them a question about the mafia or the cartel, right? You start asking about other people's gangs. I love to use this example. These Hells Angels type of cats and shit. All these biker gangs, the motorcycle clubs. And when you ask them about those, you'll hear their whole voice and tone change, and it'll switch to praise. And they'll start trying to justify them because, well, at least they getting business done. At least they organized. Okay, well, time out. These people do all the same crimes. Same drug selling, same theft, same violence, same robbery, same rape, same murder for hire, same arson, same property damage, same terrorism, same threats, all that shit, up and down the board. So is the problem that you have with the black gangs moral or is it efficiency? And you can't even say it's the black on black crime because all these other gangs, they got the same rival gang that looks like them with a slight difference that doesn't like them as black folk gangs do. It's the same shit up and down the board. Same with the Asians. Then they'll say, oh, well, they're doing it big. At least, okay, so then your problem with the black gangs, it isn't morality, it's ambition. So if black gangs were more like far reaching in their gang banging, then you'd be like, well, that's respectable. Now they can, no. So we could drop the moral thing, the fake moral thing. We got to start being real about what our issues are with each other. One issue that black folks have is that we see black life through white eyes. That's just what it really is. Like I said earlier, you hear how a lot of these niggas sound. You close your eyes and you can almost just hear like a old racist white man. You can hear a lot of the shit. Some of the most horrible things ever said about black people in recent times, they usually come out of black mouths. Under the guise of tough love or keeping it real or some shit. Man, to the point to where when I hear a nigga on air say, hey, man, I'm about to keep it real, man. Hey, man, I'm just keeping it real. I almost expect some coon shit to come out their mouth. I almost expect it. People who actually say real shit, they usually just say real shit. Most time, they don't even realize they said something real until after they said it. But someone who's trying to preface they bullshit and make it seem real, they're like, hey, man, I'm going to keep it real, man. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real is almost like signaling, hey, man. What's that phrase for real? Says, sorry, nigga, I'm trying to come home. It's almost like, hey, nigga, I got to eat, nigga. I got to eat. I'm about to say some cool shit, nigga. I'm just about to say some cool shit. And you hear that a lot when niggas start talking about black on black crime or gang members or crime in the community. Niggas start talking real coonish right before they get into that. I'm going to keep it real when it comes to these type of topics. We got better ways of preventing gang recruitment. Gangs don't even be recruiting like that. We got better ways of preventing gang influence in black communities than Hassan Campbell's and scrappy do-ass niggas like Charleston White, who are really out there star banging and trying to get goddamn fame off of this shit. You can tell these are niggas that wanted to be gang members when they were younger. They're just like, fuck, I missed the boat. So now they're out here starting shit from the porch. It's really some sucker shit. It's really some sucker shit. And the reason I'm doing all this is because for too long, and you should see this as a theme on my shows, for too long as a people, we've just been a floating mass of individuals. Just so many cracks and holes to slip through that people have been able to take advantage of us. It's like we all live in a house, but we all come and go as we please and we don't communicate. And because of that, we got squatters living in the house and shit, people running in and stealing shit, and no one knows what's going on. There's no accountability. That's why it's called consciousness. That's why it used to be called consciousness, because you're actively engaging in it. But this stuff needs to go to the point to where it's subconsciousness. This shit needs to be second nature. We should be able to see people like Hassan Campbell coming from a mile away. We should be able to see niggas. We should be able to see niggas coming from a mile away when their game is this weak. When somebody gets over on us socially like this, it should be something so clever to where we're like, oh, okay, that was good. That was smart how they did that. Like when you get tricked, you want to at least get tricked with something to where you could see how anybody would fall for it. You don't want to get tricked with a forehead slapper where you're like, damn, how did I fall for something dumb like that? And that's what's happening to us right now. Up and down the line, black folks, black community, our reality is being falsely painted around us with some of the most obvious bullshit that if we just pay attention to, we'll see. It ain't no conspiracy. These are all just facts. Look around. Most of your magazines, most of your media that you thought was black was really black targeted. Wasn't even black owned. It'd be owned by Hispanics and shit like that. You're wondering why all these pro-immigration stances are being taken in all these black ass publications. It's because they're all owned by Hispanic networks and shit like that. The Root and all that shit. You wonder where all these opinions come from. You're realizing all your black celebrities are bought and paid for. And by paid for, a lot of them are broke, and it's sad to see. So they're losing their influence power over you, which is making them even more desperate because you now know that the whole purpose for them is to influence you. You're seeing all your black politicians ain't shit. And you always knew they wasn't shit. But you thought your black politicians wasn't shit. Like, you know how you think of like a cousin or something that you don't really rock with. Oh, that nigga ain't shit, be okay. You didn't realize that you didn't realize that the black politician is literally hired to be controlled opposition. You just thought they were inept and we couldn't get it together. You didn't realize they were hired by the other side just to look like you and mess the game up for you. All these things are getting revealed to you and you're realizing, ooh, we can't depend on none of these organizations to have our back like we thought. We can't depend on none of these activists to have our back like we thought. They stole all the money and ran out the back door doing Cadillac commercials and shit. But what I don't think a lot of you are seeing is how some of this stuff is happening in this new way. How, as we're adjusting to the internet and social media and all these things now, and how that works with politics, I don't think we're seeing sometimes how the new tricks that are being used. See, a lot of the old tricks that used to work like a charm on TV aren't working so good on the internet no more. On the TV, you used to be able to go into a protest and agitate people and throw a couple of bricks and shit and turn it into a riot and then shut it down by saying, hey, we got to bring riot control in there. That used to be the tried and true way to shut a protest down. If you had a non-violent, non-confrontational protest that you just needed to have shut down because it's in front of this bank or it's going to mess up the WTO, you send a couple of cops dressed up as regular people to go in and burn shit and loot and do crazy stuff. That associates the whole crowd. Now you have riot control move in and do the stormtrooper routine. But the internet, you got people with phones out showing you where they left the bricks, catching the cop who did it, identifying the cop through his ex-wife. Like, you can't do that stuff no more. It doesn't work. It's seeing the zipper on the monster costume, right? So now you're seeing them have to adjust. And they use people like these niggas. who are more than willing and able. See, not everybody I mentioned is an asset or an agent. Some of these niggas just want the clout. Because the wave is to act like an asset or an agent. The wave is to shit on your own people. There's a whole industry. There's a whole industry. And I didn't even want to get too deep on this. There's a whole genre of videos just called hood videos where white folks don't do nothing but either go into the hood and record you living niggerish, poor, poverty-based lives because of policies they made fucking you over for decades. Now they're going in there filming it like how they would film the safari. That's what you don't realize you're doing when you're making these hoods. See, and I was going to say the second half of it is we make the videos because these niggas, I'm not shitting on them. They're trying to blow up. They're trying to come up. But this is what you're going to come up for. You don't realize the little video that you're making about the shit you're going through in the corner of your hood and shit is going to be a piece. It's going to be like a swath of paint in the mosaic getting painted about how niggas live. And not only that, they make the money off of you exploiting yourself. These guys are just one aspect of that. They out here telling for a tale. But I just want people to be watching out for characters like this, man. This is a new wave that's becoming a thing, and it's very concerning. And then when you talk about it, people act like you're defending crime or defending gang members. No, nobody's glorifying or glamorizing anything, but you're glorifying and glamorizing it. Because you're trying to reenact it. You going through like a quarter life crisis or some shit. Like he's maturing, but he's still trying to be that street nigga from behind the police desk. It don't work like that. Signing out.